Anaonyesha kwamba ako tayari kutetea wananchi wa Kenya, na sisi kama vijana tutazidi kumpea support ambayo anahitaji, tutazidi kusimama nyuma yake. Na kwa vijana wa Kenya, mimi nataka kuambia hivi, hii serikali imeamua kwamba imalize vijana, na sisi kama vijana tusiogope, lazima tuzidi kuambia serikali yale maovu ambayo wanafanya. Katika streets walituua, lakini katika mtandaoni hawatatuweza. Tuendelee kuzungumza bila uoga ili tutetee vizazi ambavyo vinakuja mbele.
Tunasikia huzuni sana. Mtu kama Waluke anapoongea ati watoto wetu wanakuwa adopted wenyewe. Sisi tunalia watoto wanauawa. Wengine wamama hatujui wako wapi. Tunafunga mkanda usiku na mchana. Alafu anarudi kusema watoto wanakuwa adopted wenyewe. Tunaona hawakuwa na heshima na hiyo matanga ya huyo mama. Hiyo matanga haikuwa na heshima, ilikuwa ya siasa, haikuwa matanga. Kwa sababu hata Moses Wetangula mwenyewe kwa matanga ya mama yake hakupatia heshima mama yake, matanga heshima. Hiyo matanga ilikuwa ya kutukana watu, na kudharau kila mtu na kufanya vituko vyenye havina maana hata kidogo. Hiyo haikuwa mazishi. Hiyo ndio ninaweza ongea.
When Mheshimiwa Natembea, governor, said about poverty in Western, actually when Kenya Kwanza came to the administration, they promised they will bring a new factory in Zoya. Zoya ikaanguka, imeanguka, vijana wamekuwa wako na employment. Mumias imeanguka, vijana wamekuwa wako na employment. Kitinda hapa wametupromise ati itaamuka, sijui itaamuka when. Because those are the factories that could have improved the economy of our region. So he's very right actually. On that is very right. When it comes to abduction, every day these leaders, including our party leader, hata jana, ameongelea about abduction. Everywhere that is going, msimamo wa party ni kwamba abduction isimamishwe. Na serikali inajua. So we are saying whatever Natembea raised is nothing new. Hiyo ndio msimamo wa chama, na sisi ndio chama kinaongelea wanyonge. Tafadhali serikali iongeze security, serikali itupatie ile yenye iliahidi Western region. Otherwise we stand by that statement as a party, na wafuasi wetu wote lazima wajue ya kwamba as a party we will stand together and we shall stand with a common person.
It is now clear that those of us who thought that the Kenya Kwanza kakistocracy was a disaster for Kenyans as far as their civil liberties and human rights are concerned, now the broad-based administration is an unmitigated catastrophe for Kenyans as they try to hector, bamboozle, cajole, and intimidate Kenyans through propaganda, outright lies, falsehoods, gaslighting, threats that look like a terribly scripted and poorly rehearsed drama piece, all aimed at balkanizing the country in their quest for a 41 versus 1 narrative reminiscent of the disaster that they visited on this country in late 2007 and early 2008. Public demonstrations from time immemorial have always been accompanied by burning of effigies of leaders, and indeed sometimes making of coffins where the leaders' effigies is placed and then burned or buried. All this was happening during the analog phase of the people's development. But now with the advent of the digital age, these protests have moved to the internet, where through AI, the same effigies are now created, placed in a coffin, and burnt, and that is nothing new. That's how demonstrations have always been. It's just that now they have moved on the internet. Any leader who has a thin skin and can't withstand this is invited to step down from leadership. Those enforced disappearances, abductions, and other extrajudicial activities by the authorities that were happening under the Jubilee administration indeed angered Kenyans, such that they welcomed Kenya Kwanza promise to end these atrocities and elected them to office. However, Kenya Kwanza has failed, or they are unable or unwilling to end these atrocities. But some things that are notable are: A, the Jubilee administration is no longer in office, so they are not the perpetrators of these nefarious atrocities. They left office. Uhuru Kenyatta left office, the then IG left office, the then Director of Criminal Investigation left office, the then NIS bosses left office. Yet these atrocities continue. Who was in that administration of Jubilee and is in the current administration and was in a vantage position to continue these atrocities from Jubilee to Kenya Kwanza, and now broad-based kakistocracies? Kenyans should look no further for the perpetrators of these atrocities. Remember the Mambo ni Matatu statement that was followed soon after by the abduction of a famous Kenyan industrialist who also happens to be the biggest investor in Western Kenya, Jaswant Singh Rai. And Kenyans kept quiet. That is how the rain started beating us. Our deputy party leader and governor of Trans Nzoia County, His Excellency George Natembeya, was right to respectfully point out the poverty in Western Kenya, the wrongs committed by abducting protesting youths. For Kimani ICHUNG'WA, who was the chairman of the budget committee in parliament at the height of economic marginalization of the Western region, should not think we have forgotten his role in even denying Western Kenya equitable share of CDF by pushing through an amendment that made sharing of CDF equal instead of equitable, resulting in impoverishing Western Kenya by denying Western Kenya a total of 14 billion shillings during his ignominious reign as chairman of the budget committee for 5 years. His childish and uncouth attack on Natembeya reflects his low opinion of leaders from Western Kenya, and the Speaker of the National Assembly should tread carefully with friends like ICHUNG'WA, who will happily lead him to a terrible and ignominious exit. To imply that Natembeya abducted and murdered people is a legally actionable offense on the integrity of George Natembeya, and we dare ICHUNG'WA to go to Mount Kenya region and say that in a public gathering. Yes, we are economically marginalized as a community, and any attempt to shut us down by branding us tribalists will not work, because it is tribalism practiced by the likes of ICHUNG'WA that has terribly marginalized us and hurt Western Kenya, but hopefully not permanently. We call on His Excellency Governor George Natembeya not to despair, but to up his defense of the community by fighting for our rights and indeed all Kenyans. There was a coded message passed by the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Maskewe Tangula, at the funeral of his mother. In Bukusu, he said Natembeya ararongas. That's a coded message. We heard that coded message in 2013 in Bumula against Wakoli Bifoli. We heard that message in 2022 in Tongaren against me. We heard that message in Kandui against Wamunyinyi. That Hurongazi, we heard that message spoken against Wangamati. That is a coded message by Moses Maskewe Tangula, meaning he'll rig the election. We dare him to rig again as he did last time, for he has a record, and it's even in the judicial archives, of his role in that Hurongasi coded message of his. What Natembeya said was nothing new. Raila Amolo Odinga said it in Homa Bay, in front of the same ICHUNG'WA and the President, William Ruto. They did not react like that. Why are they reacting like that to George Natembeya? The failed 13th Parliament, under the leadership of ICHUNG'WA as the majority leader, and the Honorable Moses Maskewe Tangula as the Speaker, will go down in history as the worst parliament ever since independence. Kwa mzee Atwoli, tunaweza kumsamehe. Amekuwa mzee. And you know, even fools grow old. So yeye tunaweza kumsamehe. Lakini mtu kama Waluke remember how he got away with that court case. So lazima angekuwa naozea jela. So lazima aongee hivyo, thinking that is pleasing the president. And that is the tragedy of Bungoma. The quality of leadership we are having in Bungoma